Hey everybody, welcome back to the third episode of Prep Talk Live. And yes, folks, our browsers are straight, our stereo speakers are unmuted, we have connections, we are here this week. We're very excited without the technical difficulties. We've made it happen. I'm Casey with Cascadia Dispatch.
Yeah, we're getting better at
Joining
this.
me,
Yeah.
as always, as usual, Tup, the Urban Prepper. What's up, Tup? How are you?
Doing pretty good. Just got done with work for a busy day working for the man, and now I'm
Working
talking
for the
with
man,
some friendly
keeping
people.
it down.
So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, working for the man, paying the bills. Yeah, a lot of Christmas shopping and final things, and I'm going to be taking the last 2 weeks of the year off, so having to kind of gear up for that. But that's going to be real nice. Maybe I'll get to sleep in a little bit.
That would be nice. That would be lovely. Yeah, the kind of the rush up to vacation time kind of is the like.
Yep.
Are you
Exactly.
doing you're taking the like in between days as well? So you get like the holiday break and then you get the in between and then New Year's and then in?
Exactly. Yeah, after this Friday, I don't go back to work until 2022, and then the world will be over by then. So.
Yeah, exactly. Now, have you made sure to tell everyone that you will see them next year? Not that you'll see them tomorrow, but you'll see
I always
them
feel
next year.
I never do that joke because it's always like, I don't know. I feel it's all played out, but I might throw it in. So
I think it must have first off, is jumping the shark still a phrase that people use? Is that a thing?
Yeah,
and then if so, I feel like this is the year that it jumped the shark because everyone has always put it out there, but I have seen so much backlash in the last week to people saying, don't say see you next year. Well, I have no idea where this anger is coming from.
Yeah, I think they should be able to say if the timing's right, you could go ahead and say it. So.
Yeah, exactly. Just say what you want to say. Say what you want to say. So anyway, we're gonna kick this week off. We're gonna kick the show off with the "You Did What" segment, where we talk about what we did last week, what sort of prepping projects and activities we did, how did we try to push our prepping plans forward. Tup, do you want to kick us off, or do you want me to kick it off? I feel like we should flip a coin before we jump on.
I just moved all my coins. I had a whole bunch of coins on my desk. I have some silver bullion we could do, like true prepper style. But this past, what I've been working on is just trying to. At the start of the COVID and everything, I think a lot of people kind of. I had a video called "Top Off Your Preps," where it's a lot of topping off various things, especially on food and water. And I'm finding that a lot of the food that I had purchased at that or before that time, because I kind of anticipated that there's going to be some shutdowns and stuff, is starting to come up to the expiration date. And I know that technically you could eat it past the store by date or the sell by date, but I like keeping stuff fresh when I can. And so what we've been doing is kind of reorganizing like the canned goods that we have in various locations. So we have our primary pantry, our add-on COVID pantry, we have the garage pantry, and then I have a separate storage unit which also has some food. So I try to diversify my portfolio. But
did the COVID pantry take over one of the kids' rooms?
No, it took over.
Now it's sleeping.
Yeah, no, it took over this one wall in our breakfast nook, and it's kind of like I don't know. It's a display pantry that we could show people, and yeah, but no, it didn't take over the
display pantry for your preps.
Well, for food preps. Yeah.
What is happening to you?
I don't know.
You're displaying your preps for everyone.
You never talk about. It's like Fight Club. Yeah, it's like Fight Club. You don't talk about your preps, but. I feel like the canned food is okay, but anyway, we've been making various donations to local food banks for that. That's what I do and what we do for our food preps before they expire or when they're approaching expiration. Is it's time to retop off, but I want to make sure that it goes to good cause, so I don't just throw it away. And so there's local charities and food banks that we usually gather up everything, and especially like at Christmas time and with Thanksgiving and other things too. And so then another project that I've been actively working on is that I was thinking, okay, if the world ends in 2022 or if there's big massive shortages or we can't get anything, because I've been planning like Christmas meals now, and then we most recently did Thanksgiving. I was thinking, oh, well, what if I can't get those items that I normally do for Thanksgiving and for Christmas? So I'm starting to get those purchased and organized now. So if there is a problem, like then there was a shortage on turkeys, I'm going to still be good to go, and I'm still having my Thanksgiving turkey. So
now,
I'm actively working on that.
As part of your setup, do you have extra freezers as well? Because that was one of the things we added that a couple of years ago. We added a chest freezer, and then we added a garage freezer as well, like a stand-up secondary refrige that's a fridge and a freezer.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that we've started to do. I think a lot of people, when they hear like prepper pantry, they think canned goods and dry stuff, but also like the idea of turkeys. Like, you're not going to put that in the closet. That's not a good thing.
Yeah, no, yeah, I definitely, we have our primary refrigerator. We have a downstairs fridge that also has its own freezer that has some other stuff that's in the regular rotation. Then we have the garage freezer that has a lot of the more long-term things over there, and that's where the turkeys and the hams and stuff are going for next year's Thanksgiving and for next year's Christmas meal and things. So,
got it. So you were getting the turkeys.
A year before.
I thought you were getting turkeys this year for the coming holiday. You're getting the turkey for next year.
Yes, exactly. So, because you could store a turkey in the freezer.
You are so much better at this than I am, Cliff. You're so much better at this than I.
I doubt that, but yeah, you could store a turkey for over a year in the freezer, and so for me, it just kind of makes sense. Like, while they're available now, who knows if I don't know where turkeys come from. Maybe they bring them over from Greenland or something, but. I'm just preparing for that. And if
when a mommy turkey and a daddy turkey, Cliff, get together.
Yeah. Okay. But that's what I'm doing. Is just kind of holiday 2022 holiday food prep planning is what I'm doing.
That is fantastic. We have a couple of extra turkeys. We usually get a couple because we usually have a Thanksgiving at our house, and then we have Thanksgiving with relatives, and then we usually do our own Thanksgiving. So we do a couple of those. This year we decided to smoke the turkey, and I was curious about how that would work out. So I got some backup turkeys just in case I screwed up the first turkey. Turned out very well, actually. One of these days when you come down, we'll do a dinner or something. But although I won't make my smoked turkey, we'll do something else. But just saying. But yeah, so I think we'll hold on to those for till next year. That's a great idea of kind of planning. I thought I was being ahead planning for the coming holiday a couple months ago, but planning for next holiday.
Yeah. So at least getting the turkey and then whatever you eat for Christmas, like this year we kind of do it like cuisines from like our family. So like I'm a half-breed Puerto Rican, so this year we're doing Puerto Rican food, and sometimes my wife is German, so sometimes we do German food. But I think planning those meals
she's only out, sometimes she's German. What is she the rest of the time? Is she like, I'm Swedish today? It's Monday.
Sometimes she's German, sometimes she's just pissed. But yeah, but that's kind of the planning that I'm doing. But it's kind of hard to, like, when you're thinking about, okay, well, how would I do mashed potatoes next year? And so, but technically you could cook the potatoes now and store them in the freezer for more than a year. So you could have your mashed potatoes and gravy and all the stuff with potatoes that you cooked the year prior, and it'll still be good. So.
That is a fantastic idea. I think the thing that would be tricky about that is there is a very good chance that those potatoes would not make it to next year, that they would be intercepted somewhere around March or April on a very hungry night that I would be having. Maybe, around midnight or so, watching movies and be like, there's mashed potatoes and gravy in the freezer. I feel like those would be a good option.
If it's in the garage one, you're less likely to go there. But if it's in your primary freezer, I think that would happen. So, but then you have to kind of also worry about, as preppers now, okay, now we have an extra freezer. Now, how am I going to power that if the power goes down and the generators and stuff? So by planning like these meals a year in advance, now I have to also kind of plan the power of these the devices that they're stored in a year in advance as well. So try getting the generator and getting it ready and making sure my gas is looking good and all that stuff. So.
Exactly. No, that the generator thing, the whole house generator, I think, was a game changer for us.
Yeah.
Which is not. It is an investment. It's a huge investment. It is not something that anybody can probably get. It's really expensive. But by getting it, like, not having to worry so much about that, for rolling power outages, earthquakes and things, we got a whole different problem with that.
Is it a propane generator?
It's a natural gas generator. So it's actually hooked up to our natural gas line.
Awesome.
So if, like, during the snowstorms last year, when the power grid went down, the standard electrical power grid went down, we still had natural gas and it kicked on, and we had the entire house powered. So we could run literally everything and not have any interruption.
Yeah, we that's our long-term plan. Right now we have like the portable generators, but the long-term plan is to go with that. And we actually have a family member that has a generator business, and that's what they do. So I need to make some more money. So you probably flipped some of your Lego displays and helped pay for the whole house generator.
I may know a generator guy as well.
Okay, cool.
So
You
that's
have a
how
contact. Okay.
exactly. Which, by the way, speaking of Legos and flipping, and we'll get back to what I did this week. But did you see the article about Legos being a better investment than gold?
It doesn't surprise me, but I know that I spent an arm and a leg for my son's Lego collection.
So
They hold their value and they even increase in value, huh?
yes, yeah, they said it was 11%. I think it was 11% compounded rate of return on Lego sets over the last I don't know how many years. And so there was an article in the Guardian, which I think is out of the UK. I think it was the British version of whatever it was. But had done this analysis that showed that Legos, if you had invested in Legos, it was actually better return than investing in gold over the same period of time. So, needless to say, I will be making a video about that.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, it's kind of I like thinking of I think in terms of like how it compares to gold and silver and what I think that buying food is a good investment. I think that it doesn't.
Oh, exactly.
Everyone needs it. You're always. I mean, you could eat it. You can't eat your gold. I guess you can, but maybe you could drink the silver. But some people do that. But
how much Goldschlager do you have in your preps?
No, I had a bad Goldschlager experience, and I had to get off of it at an early age. So that was a long time ago, though. So, but yeah.
That was when you were
kind
of
a touchy subject. I don't want to talk about.
Fair enough.
Yes, I see some cool folks in the chat room too. Prep for it. I know has been battling some stuff. The hospital has been kind of live streaming a lot of the like her journey through that. So glad to see you on this one. Prep for it.
Exactly. Great to have you here. Hope you're doing well. So for me this week, kind of in the continuation of organization, I tend to always, when we get to the end of the year, it's kind of the like year-end finances for our business and all of that sort of stuff. And I try to do a lot of like paperwork stuff. It doesn't always happen, but I try to kind of stay on top of it heading into January and the new year. So this last week, I kind of started with going through all of the documents that are like aged out that we don't need to keep anymore. So the tax returns that are more than 7 years old and old utility bills and stuff that we just kept, started cleaning all of that out. And then also going through, I digitize pretty much every piece of paper that we have, all of the utility bills and
awesome.
All of that sort of stuff. We just, when it comes in for the mail, we have a scanner on my wife's desk, and it just scans in and it PDFs it automatically, and then we store it on a hard drive, and then we don't have to worry about having the paper or where it goes. And really, it also makes it simple because we don't have to really prioritize like what piece of paper do we need to keep and what do we need to not have. Like we just have it all, and then you can search for it because they're all searchable PDFs, so that makes it really nice. So
do you use it like a real scanner? You don't use your phone for that then?
So I use my phone for some things, but yeah, we have a document. We have a Scan Snap. It's the Fuji. I think it's the Fuji one that goes really fast. I'll put it in the description at some point down below or something. But it's a document scanner. I see them a lot at like doctors' offices and attorneys' offices and things, and you just scan. It scans super fast and really, really high quality stuff. And then it'll automatically.
I need the link. We could use a better scanner. So
I can make that happen for you.
Okay.
And so I use that.
You have your people get in contact with my people. And
exactly. My scanner people will get in touch with your generator people. We'll make it work. And so we use that and it also will then turn all the PDFs into searchable PDFs. Wow. So you can go into the library program that they have and search for like water bill, and it'll pull up all the PDFs with your water bill, even if they're not named that. It'll just search the text. So it's really, really awesome. Some of the documents I actually keep in the cloud just so that we have them. And then some of them I just keep on a hard drive, and then there are certain special ones that I only keep on an encrypted thumb drive. So like IDs and that sort of stuff. in case we ever needed it, and the ones that we had were destroyed, we'd at least have some sort of a copy of it somewhere. But that I only keep on a solid state encrypted hard drive. Nice. So yeah, and then I have a flatbed scanner for like pictures. So that was another project I did a long time ago, was scanning all of our paper pictures and like anything that would go in like a scrapbook or something.
I think that's so important for like to have for your like bug out bags and stuff, to have that little thumb drive that has your whole. We'd be devastated if like the house caught on fire and lost all the family photos, but we have a lot of them backed up in the cloud and on SD cards and stuff like that. But I think that's totally super important to do, especially for that's a prepping thing to do, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we actually had I had a friend who was in Houston when the hurricane happened, and they were actually in the process of moving to the UK. And so they were just like 2 days before they were going to leave for the UK, the hurricane hit, and all of their family photos got soaked and damaged and ruined. And so there were pictures that she posted of them trying to dry them out in the storage facility, like parking lot, because they just didn't have another place to dry them. And I was like, if we ever had an earthquake or a fire, God forbid, or something like that, like, we do have a lot of paper pictures. I think our generation, was the transition between digital and paper a lot of ways. So most of the younger millennial folks, are all digital, and so they don't have that. I have a bunch of photos from college, and then like my parents have pictures and stuff, and so trying to get all of that centralized,
cool.
Which also is nice because then you can share it with family members and stuff. But anyway,
yeah, totally.
So that was what I did last week.
Excellent.
So now let's talk about, where did this go? I've lost my little backgrounds. Okay, so let's talk about. Oh, now I got the chat up, but they're talking about Legos.
Yeah, I see they're talking about Legos.
Exactly.
Pony
John,
Girl.
I'm sorry to hear no valuable sets. That's okay. You still might have a valuable set and just not know about it. That is a possible thing. So next up, we're going to talk about gear. As we get to that, it's the preps for me gear recommendations. So we wanted to talk this week as it gets colder and colder and colder. It actually snowed in Portland yesterday.
Wow.
Around keeping warm and things to keep warm. And I think there's, the obvious, hats and gloves and things. So for me, I picked my little thing is the Zippo electric hand warmers. These are awesome. They actually heat up. I've tried the Zippo ones where you put the fuel in it and it kind of does its smolder thing or something. That has always scared me, that like something is going to start on fire. I don't understand how it works, and it makes me think it's going to light me on fire. Yeah. These are actually power banks that will heat up with the electrical, the stored electricity. So the little one will go for about 5 hours. And then the big boy over here will go for 9 hours if you just do one side. You can actually heat up one side or both sides. But then what's nice about it, what I really like, is they actually have the charging ports on the front of them. So
that's awesome.
If, let's say, like when we went to the Timbers game, we went to the MLS Cup game. Sorry to hear that Seattle wasn't invited. Apparently they aren't garbage. I don't know. Okay. I'm not a soccer guy, but I went with a guy who was, and he was very excited about that. So Sim, that was for you. So we went there and it was freezing cold. But we were only there for a couple hours. So I had the hand warmers, and they would keep my hands warm. And then I could also plug my phone in because there was enough charge to do both. So it was a nice little dual prep. I like the dual prep action.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you got? What's your thoughts
for cold weather?
Yeah,
I know there's a lot of really. This is like the time of the season. 'Tis the season for like the winter preps videos. I know Canadian Prepper does one annually for those, and we don't get that much snow up here. But I'm always a big fan of the military wool blankets. On making sure that there's one in the vehicle. One I like having a lot on hand. But I think like the winter prep that I think all preppers should have, most of them probably already do, is the Mr. Heater, the propane heater that you could actually run indoors if need be. It's something that you could use when camping. If you lose power, you need to warm a room, and maybe use those wool blankets, attach them to kind of enclose one room of your home, and then use the Mr. Heater with the propane. You could use the smaller canisters, or you could use the large 20-pound ones, and there's an adapter that you could use to connect to it. I think that's like, for me, we have two of them. I have the big one and the little one. They're all ready to go in little cases, and they're color coordinated, and they're in the garage for that purpose. But I think it's something that all preppers should get. You could get the Mr. Heater for $100, I believe, and then there's a big version of it too that's a little bit more money. But for me, that's like the good preps to get. And then there's all sorts of the various precautionary type things, or things to prepare for the winter season, like caulking like the windows, or the one of the recent things that we did was just to kind of you had the compressor through the sprinklers, because we didn't want to have any kind of broken pipes and doing stuff like that. So but if I had to do one pick for like winter preps besides military blankets, would be the Mr. Heater.
And Mr. Heater is a fantastic. That's like that should be like in everyone's, like, so you've decided to become a prepper kit. Like, you've decided to become a prepper.
All preppers should have Mr. Heater.
Yeah, exactly. Here's your Mr. Heater.
Here's
your foldable shovel. Here's
your first aid kit. That sounds like an awesome video idea. Like items that all preppers should have. Like, I think Mr. Heater is one. I think the Berkey water filter could be another one. There's like some like I don't know if they're stereotypical, but like like the ones that all preppers like, and all preppers would probably recommend.
Exactly. All right. So when we make this
stay tuned for a video.
Yeah, exactly. So when we make this video. Come on.
Yeah, the buddy. I see, Joan. Yeah, Mr. Heater is the buddy heater. Yeah, the buddy heater. Yeah, there's a big buddy heater, I think so.
And there's also one that looks like it almost looks like a stove. It's a different shape. The Mr. Heaters and the buddy heaters kind of are like shaped kind of like an old jukebox or something, where they have like the canisters on the sides, and then the heating element in the middle.
Yeah.
And then there's one that they make that's like the canisters on top. It's like a heating canister on top, and then there's like a fan in the front of it or something. I've only seen it at Coastal Farm and Ranch a couple of times, but it's like a different design. I don't know what that design is for exactly, but
yeah, at one point I was working on a review video for it. I have it all filmed, and it's like from like 6 years ago, so it's probably archaic now, but where I had various thermometers in the room, and was just seeing how much it raised the heat and stuff.
You passed out from the carbon monoxide.
Yeah, it took a long time to recover. To go with the wool blankets, though, one of the things that I have is what drywallers use for attaching the plastic when they're drywalling a room. It's like these extender rods. I use them in I call it my Dexter kill room kit, but it's where I have for plastic sheeting, where it was for pandemic preparedness. But you could also use those for the wool blankets, and we've done that in the past where we've had blankets making like a makeshift room in it. A makeshift room, and you could use those things, and I think those are pretty awesome to have too. But that's not really a winter prep. But
the FBI has entered the chat on the Dexter prepared. By the way, for everybody who's watching, if you wouldn't mind, just really quickly hit the like button. If you're enjoying the conversation, hitting the like button on whether you're watching on God Preps, whether you're watching on Cascadia Dispatch, either way helps YouTube kind of push it out to other people. That's kind of the indication to them that we're worthwhile to watch, and hopefully we are. If not, then you're wasting your time, and I feel bad for you, and I'm sorry about that. We'll try harder next time. But in the meantime, that's a good thing. Yes, propane odor can be an issue with some of the small heaters, especially if you have them in a confined space. I haven't noticed it as much when it's open air, but
yeah, we still feel a little uneasy with it. So I think if you get one of the lines to attach it to one of the larger propane tanks, that you could technically have that out the window and then use some foam to kind of seal it, so at least that propane's outside of it.
And then you can build a tiny house to put it in, and then you
yeah, a house. It's like the Russian dolls or whatever. There's a house and
exactly. There's a house for the tank, and then there's
you
a
have your
house for
house,
the
and then you have
cable.
your living room, and then you can make your own little tent in there. So,
Oh, that is fantastic. All right, so to prep or not to prep. So I think obviously last week was a tragic week with the tornadoes in Kentucky. There were, I think the death toll I saw was 80 or 100. The last time I checked, it was continuing to climb. The pictures are devastating. I think we see this a lot with natural disasters, and it got me thinking about natural disasters that you can see versus ones you can't. So, for example, a wildfire, you kind of, unless you're right where the spark happened, you have a little bit of warning that the wildfire is coming. If a hurricane is coming, you kind of see the glide path of where the hurricane's coming. You have a day or two of notice.
Yeah.
Things like tornadoes and earthquakes, which you and I, are prepping a lot for earthquakes. We have no warning. Like, we know that they could theoretically happen, and so that's why we're preparing for them. But you're not going to get any warning.
Yeah.
And it made me think about, are there special preparations and things that we do or that people should do to kind of prepare for the unpreparable, even though we're preppers that are prepping for things? How meta is that idea, by the way?
I love the idea. That'd be a great video, like having a list of emergencies, and then like what's the time that you might have before you know that it's actually going to happen. And that's I'm always worried about earthquakes. Sometimes I'm just driving around or walking around. I'm like, oh my gosh, is this it? Is this the earthquake? But
you're just walking down the street in Seattle, and all of a sudden you just duck and cover under a mailbox.
I think it's a good exercise for preppers. Is that oftentimes I'm like, okay, what if an earthquake happened right now? What do I do? Like, I'm always thinking. I don't know. Maybe I'm just kind of nerdy, but that's the kind of stuff that
that's
I like.
Okay. I do the same thing. I just wasn't going to claim it on the stream. So
yeah,
I'm glad that you did.
You want to document it through video.
I will second that notion. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I'm always. What if Mount Rainier erupted right now? What am I going to do? But the tornadoes are something I'm probably not the best person to talk to, because we don't have tornadoes up here, so I wouldn't really know. I mean, unless you had, I know that you'd want to have a tornado shelter, maybe an Atlas survival shelter for that. But yeah, it'd be super scary. My wife is fascinated with tornadoes, and she loves watching the movie Twister. Probably watches it once a month or so. But yeah, I think that one would be super scary, and oftentimes you have not a lot of warning on it. So
yeah, I was thinking about like disaster insurance. So there's kind of the physical, like, okay, let's you get through the physical moment of the disaster with no warning. Is the tornado is going to come through and you're going to hide in a shelter or grab onto something? If it's an earthquake, you're ducking and covering, or you're going into, you're not going into a door jam, or you are going to a door jam, depending on which.
Well, they say not to do the door jams anymore.
Exactly.
That's old school.
Yeah, we learned growing up you're supposed to get in a door jam, and now they've changed their mind.
Whenever we were little kids, I guess you're getting rattled in this door jam. But yeah, I was told to go to like the corner of where a wall and the floor is that's away from a window, like an interior one is.
Yeah, so I've heard that is a good idea, and I've heard that's not a good idea. I've heard like you go under a table or you don't go under a table. Yeah. I'm just gonna go run into a field, I think, is my idea. Like, and if I can't find a field, I will just continue to run. Like,
I don't know if we ever talked about because in Washington we had the Nisqually earthquake back in 2001, I believe. And did I ever tell you the story about what I was doing? Okay, so I can't believe I'm saying this, but okay, it's okay.
Do we need Mrs. Pepper to sign off? Should your mom? She
knows the story.
Does she need to sign off?
They're well aware of the story. Anyway, we had an earthquake in Washington. It was like a 6.7. It originated kind of it was called the Nisqually earthquake. It was deep in the ground. Anyway, it was the last real big earthquake that we've had over here. And at the time, I was pretty young, and I was working. I was working at Intel at the time, and so I was in the shower, and then I'm like, man, what's going on? And then I realized, oh my gosh, it's an earthquake, and I'm in my. At the time, I was in this basement, living in this basement, and so I go booking outside completely naked from the because I'm in the shower, and I brought a washcloth to kind of cover up just in case, because I didn't want to give the neighbors too much of a show, but and just kind of writing out this the earthquake, and so then like the like a week later, some of the news stations were having people submit stories and said, where were you when the earthquake hit?" And I set my story.
All of the video clips of this
and so then it was in
man running out of the street started showing up.
Yeah, so then it was in the newspaper. Oh yeah, Cliff was out naked in his yard because he ran outside because he's worried about being in the basement and having it collapse. But that was
just imagine that not only did you run out with the washcloth, but you also had the hat. I didn't. Yeah, you also had the hat.
Yeah. But yeah, it's you never know when they're going to hit, like and like it could be when you're the most vulnerable. So that's why one of the reasons why, like on my EDC, I don't count it an EDC unless it's in the bathroom with me. Like so, because you never know when something's going to happen, and that kind of originated from being in an earthquake while in the shower. So
that is for a second I thought you were going to say you were taking a shower at Intel, and I was going to be like, wow, this is even better because now that's a whole lawsuit and all kinds of things happening.
Yeah, that's something different, but yeah.
Do you have or have you looked into disaster insurance specifically? Like for us, it would be earthquake, but the difference between, I think a lot of people assume that if you have homeowners insurance, that covers disasters, and it really only covers fire.
Yeah.
It doesn't include floods or tornadoes or hurricanes or any of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, when we got our house in 2017, and we learned that it doesn't cover a lot of stuff except for fire. So we actually paid more for like the earthquake and flooding insurance, because in the Seattle area, flooding is like the most common emergency situation, even though it might not be in all cases like life threatening. But we also spend a little extra for the earthquake, but it's still like, it's not like you get that insurance and then if there's an earthquake and your house is devastated, that they'll just build you a new house. It's still like you have to have, I forget how much you have to pay like down, like but 20% of the cash to start. I forget all the details, so don't quote me on it. Those watching, but it's not like it's still it's not like, oh, you got that insurance, so you're completely covered. It'll you still have to front some money. So
yeah, it's kind of interesting. We've had earthquake insurance for a few years, and I think ours it's like a 15% deductible or something. And they were explaining to us that, and I think it depends on the policy. So it's one of those things. Call your insurance agent. We are not insurance agents. We are not insurance experts. We are not financial experts. We're barely experts at anything. So like, don't quote us on any of this. Call your professional. But when I called our agent and was talking to them about it, they were explaining that if it was a complete, like if the house was destroyed, then they would probably just write us a check minus the deductible.
The deductible. Yeah, it was something like that for me too. So.
Yeah, if it was like, okay, there's a crack in the side of the house and it's fixable, but it's expensive, like, okay, you'd have to pay up to the deductible. But what was interesting for me was that there was also living conditions or living allowances in there. So if the house was damaged or something had happened, we could go somewhere else, and there was like a year's worth, like 12 months worth of living expenses for like rent replacement and some clothing replacement and some food coverage and stuff. So even if like the house was damaged and we couldn't live in it, but we had to wait to save up the money or access the money or whatever, we could still go and evacuate and find somewhere to be and be safe. Because I think if Cascadia happens, like the West Coast is not going to be a fun place to live, but like Chicago or Kansas City or New York or anywhere else will be probably fine. So if we can get there and you get a hotel room or an apartment or whatever, that there will be money in that policy to kind of reimburse and help get you on your feet while you're trying to figure it out, which was an interesting clause that I wasn't aware of.
Yeah. One of the things we also looked in with our house is reinforcing our foundation, because we're technically on a hill. And so we have a daylight basement. And as a prepper, I'm just worried about this stuff. So we were worried about, if there's a big mudslide or something, like, are we protected from that? So we're at some point we'd like to invest in, you could basically have these rods that drill down to the bedrock. And so so if there's a bad earthquake or some kind of slide or something, your house is locked into place, but it's pretty expensive though.
Oh, that's interesting.
But yeah, that's one of the things that we're looking for kind of earthquake too. I see a couple little comments about the shower scene, and then the EDC bump cat in your
shower
tangle.
scene.
Yeah,
I was gonna have this be our question as we go into
Oh, okay. Sorry, there's questions. Okay,
hold on, I'm gonna flip the graphic here.
Oh,
hold on,
nice.
let's just because it's the only question I see right now. So we're gonna use it for the questions. So the big question is, Cliff, do you EDC a bump cap in your Kangol hat?
I looked into it. So the Kangol hat is kind of it's part of my branding, but no, not all the time. The bump cap works good with the wool version of the Kangol hat because it's a little domier, I guess, so it doesn't look funny. But when you have it in, like, this is the vent air one for Kangol, which is has air so you can breathe a little bit. It looks funny. So it looks like I don't know. It just looks a little funny. So no, not in the Kangol, but in my baseball caps, I have a bump cap insert. So I have some other, when I want to go in disguise, I'll take off the Kangol and I'll put on a normal baseball cap, and I have bump caps in there, and they're awesome. So
yeah, I actually again, I watched your video about, I don't know if it was a video about bump caps or if it was your live stream with EDC TV where you were talking about bump caps.
Yeah, I did a video on bump caps, and then we probably talked about it in another one. So
and so yeah, so as a result of that, as per usual, when Tub says, "Hey, check this out," I ordered 8 of them. I didn't need 8 of them, but I just ordered them and add them. So
are you starting a bump cap business now? Is that
exactly? Well, what I was thinking about actually with it was my kids, because we have like the hard hats and stuff that we keep in the garage for us, and we keep them by our bed just in case.
Yeah,
something.
Nice.
But they don't make them in kid sizes, and I was like, well, what am I going to do for the kids? And the bump cap was like, oh, well, we can get bump caps for them. And put them in their baseball caps, and it won't be scary for them, but it'll also give them some protection. It's not going to be like a hard hat or
that's
whatever.
An awesome idea. I mean, like, if you don't want to go the hard hat, I mean, hard hat would be better, but if you don't want to go that for whatever reason due to head sizes and stuff, that having a whole bunch of bump cap insert caps would be better than nothing. Like, and when I made that video, like a few people, like, they wrote me later that, hey, I bought one of those because you said to, and I was really glad I did, because I was up in my attic and I ran into a nail and it protected my head, and I would have been really messed up. Or someone else tripped at work and they hit their head on like some metal piece of metal that it would have really messed them up, but they had the bump cap insert. So but I love the idea of instead of a hard hat for earthquake or for whatever purposes, that you have bump cap inserts as a I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and so now actually we've got we've kind of transitioned where now the kids have their kind of setup. We should say this for the next video, but I'm going to ask anyway. Okay. So things you put next to your bed, you know, gloves, shoes, and all that sort of stuff. So we've started having the kids also do a similar thing. They have slippers. They have their we got them the gloves that, leather gloves and stuff. They got to pick out whichever kind they wanted. But now we got skateboard helmets, and they keep those in kind of like one of those little fabric cube drawer things. So they have their slippers, their gloves, and their helmet there, and it tucks away, and so nobody knows it.
That's an awesome idea.
What's kind of fun is my son was very much into this sort of thing. He wanted a Leatherman. He was all excited. And recently my daughter has become really excited. And so she's started putting her like emergency caches in her room. So she has like her emergency clothes that she set out. So, if she ever needed to run out and she was wearing pajamas, she could put on clothes. And I'm like, sweetheart, that's fantastic. But like, if we're running out of the house, I don't care what you're wearing. We're just getting you out of there.
Yeah. Well, the shoes and the gloves are important and the hat, but yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love the idea of how to store that kind of stuff in a way that still makes your room, you don't want your room to look too prepper like. So you could do that in any kind of room. I think that's great. It sounds like a great video. How many great video ideas have you had?
We've got fantastic videos.
Yeah,
what I've learned is that this show is less about telling people about things and more us brainstorming great video ideas.
Yeah,
that we can come out with.
Some other YouTube channels are, I'm gonna make it
exactly.
Right now.
Are there scouts on here? Are people watching this?
Yeah,
all right. Well, I think we are way over time.
There's a couple other questions. There's a couple other questions. Yeah, this it kind of went by really quickly. This one.
It always does. It always does.
Fire
and I try to get
extinguishers.
us out at 6:00 because
Yeah.
I don't want mom to be pissed. And then you're always like, "But no, let's talk longer." And I
Yeah,
look
well,
like a schmuck.
I just my son and I, we have a Boy Scout meeting, a troop meeting tonight. But I see something about fire extinguishers.
Let's see. Okay,
Yes,
yep, I can
yeah,
find
I
it.
think it's I have a lot of fire extinguishers. I have them in all the vehicles. I have them where the barbecue is. I have them in the kitchen. I have it in the garage, and then I think it's good to have like a larger one on each floor. I'm actually due to replace to get to refill a couple of them. So, but yeah, I think fire extinguishers are awesome, and I guess if you really needed to, they could be a self-defense weapon too, because they're big and heavy. But
Have you tried the fire blankets?
I have I tried it
or have you heard
yeah.
It's one of those things that you see, and then when you're looking at fire extinguishers, all of a sudden you get the Facebook ads about
I have
fire
one.
blankets.
I have one over here, but I haven't lit myself on fire and tried it yet. But
well, okay, tune in next week for episode 4.
We got a special show for you next week.
Here, I saw this other question. Shower scene. I hope Cliff's mom isn't here.
Yeah, she might not be here. You never know though. But she knows about that story, and I think she tells it to her friends. So.
Moldy Soldier. You know what? We fooled ourselves. So hello to you. Goodbye in a second. But thanks for stopping. Thanks for doing it.
Yeah. I love the name Moldy Soldier. That's awesome.
I feel like he just needs to dry off. Can we let him inside or something? Let's see.
EDC
yep.
self-defense options other than firearms. I think, a lot of people focus on the firearms, and not everyone. I mean, we have a worldwide audience, and not everyone has access to the firearms. One of the things that we did in my home, I talked about it on the thing Preparedness, is I put pepper. I have a pepper spray, or actually, it's pepper gel, and I have one for I carry that for EDC purposes, but I also have them for all of our exterior doors in the home. So just in case, I have it where it's only I could actually reach it, and you can't even really notice that it's there, but I have it on Velcro attached to the walls. But for EDC self-defense other than firearms, well, I think the one that in Seattle I think is really good is there's a security umbrella. I did a review of it years back, and it's like an indestructible umbrella that would be a good self-defense item. It's unbreakable. You could stand on it and it's not going to do anything. So
yeah, the pepper gel, I think that was one of those when I was first starting out, and firearms wasn't a thing that I was necessarily considering, and I actually drove up to Seattle and thought we were going to be in a situation where that was going to be a thing. And I came home and I asked some of my self-defense specialist friends that I have, because I believe in having specialists that know more than you do about things, and you ask them, the experts. So I called them and said, "Hey, what can I do?" And they recommended it. The clear thing was, though, not pepper spray, but pepper gel.
I like that.
Yeah,
pepper
exactly.
Gel.
Pepper gel. Because the pepper spray, depending on the wind, can actually go blow it back in your face, or it could blow it into your family's face if you're out together or something. The pepper gel actually goes in a straight line and sticks to wherever it lands.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's like the Dilophosaurus from Jurassic Park, where it sprayed the guy in the face.
Yeah.
You have to wipe it off.
It starts melting.
So
that I think is good. I've also found you can get the batons, the collapsible batons.
Now I don't know how legal those are, but I don't
it depends on where you are.
Okay.
And it depends on.
You're in Portland,
yeah, exactly. We have.
You're in Antifa country, so maybe it's okay over there.
It's Antifa and open carry down here.
Yeah,
it's just all of the things you can do.
One of the perks of being in the Portland area, I guess.
Yeah, we just watch the buildings burn and play the bongos, and it's fantastic.
I guess for you could have Molotov cocktails and all those.
Yeah. Well, when you need to unwind sometimes. So that's one of those things that it fits in my laptop bag, and it fits. I have one next to the bed, because it fits in a drawer, as opposed to other things that might be longer or something like that. So those are the sorts of things, and I think also, as you go through the preparedness journey, there are things that you acquire at the beginning, and then over time you swap out. So you have kind of like your primary stuff is always changing to whatever your latest and greatest is. So, the batons were something I got initially, and then I went with the pepper gel, and then I've got some other things, and so you kind of mix it up, and then you kind of space it out depending on the situation.
Yeah, I have some props, but so definitely
it's show and tell time.
The prepper gel, but yeah. So, but on all my bags now, it's not really I guess it's self defense, but I have the ballistic shields in all of mine. So the ones made by spacing on the name. It's the soft shell ones, but that's technically could protect from knives as well. So if you were worried about that, depending on how rough your neighborhood is, but
yeah. I just ordered them for all of our daily bags. I got ours from AR 500.
Yeah, AR 500 has good ones. I can't believe we're talking. We never would have talked about this 5 years ago, but now with everything, it's like it's like commonplace. But man, I'm spacing on the name now. I got to open this up to see. I got to give the company a shout out. Oh yeah, Premier Body Armor is the one that I use.
Oh okay, yeah.
But they have their form fit to the bags. I think every backpack should have one of those in there. Why not? And even if there's a 0.1% chance of it actually being used, I'd rather have it there. And I think back of like the movie 300 where they had all of their shields. Like if everyone had these in their backpacks, you could you'd have some protection. So
yeah, exactly. So better to have it and not need it than to not have it and wish you had it.
And the soft ones you have to replace like every 5 years. I'm not sure why they like expire, but
they had a shelf life. I was like, what is this? Isn't
it's
cheese?
Like cottage
I don't
cheese.
understand.
It's like cottage cheese, but
I feel like that's one of those things where they like say that, but it's really not. Like they put it there.
It has to be for some
like liability purposes, but it really doesn't. Like especially with the metal ones, I'm like, how is the metal one gonna not work in 30 years? Like it's metal. But anyway, questions. You know what? We should have like a guest spot with some of those expert people and see like, does it really expire? All right. Well, now that we've gone into body armor, which is the place I didn't think we would ever go.
We went full prepper. We went full prepper there. You never go full prepper. We
got to pull ourselves back. We got to pull it out.
Pull it back.
If you haven't already, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. The thumbs up really makes a difference for us. Go ahead and hit the notifications so you'll get the notifications every week when we do the show. If you have questions for next week, leave them in the comments. That's always a good thing. Tell your friends, tell your family, share it all over the social media, all over the interwebs. Let everybody know about it. The new #1 podcast for non-preppers and preppers alike. I think Casual Prepper Podcast is probably the #1 podcast for preppers.
Yeah,
we're the #1 for non-preppers and preppers.
Yeah.
We'll make that distinction. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next week. Tup, have a wonderful week. We'll chat later, and we'll be back next week.
Sounds great.
Thanks a lot. Bye, everybody.